Join the program now for this week's Know Your Enemy segment is Mike Singer of CUSportsNation.com to give us an inside look at the Colorado Buffaloes. Mike, thanks for coming on. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys.
Now, Mike, Colorado was the nation's biggest surprise last season, but had several meaningful departures, both in terms of players and coaches. Where is this team now in relation to how you thought they'd perform in 2017?
Yeah, so they finished 10-4 last season, struggled down the stretch. But I still thought this would be a pretty good team. Lost a lot on defense, but basically returned the whole offense other than the quarterback. And the departures, on defense and that quarterback was just they've been bigger and more of an impact than I might have thought. So I actually had this team finishing the regular season. My prediction was 8-4. So there's still a pipe dream that they get to that point right now. They're at 5-4. But they had a couple of games that they were close losses. They could have beat UCLA, and there's some tight games this season. So it could be. They could be 6-3 right now. So it's just how the cookie crumbles.
In the preseason, there were allegations of off-field issues surrounding the football program that surfaced. Has that impacted this team in any sort of noticeable, tangible way that you've seen?
No, to be honest with you, I forgot about it until you just asked that. No, it really. It's not brought up. The local media doesn't talk about it, so it's not, asked, to the players and coaches. Joe Tumpkin, the guy that, had the allegations surrounding him, he's off in another school now. So honestly, it doesn't come up on the CUSportsNation.com message board. So, media's not really writing about it. I think it's kind of just gone away.
Now, if you look at where Colorado is right now and kind of forecast the future, do you see the Buffaloes as like a one-year wonder with how they played last year, or do you think that this program can get to the point of consistently competing for the South Division title?
Sure. So I think on the outside looking in right now, Colorado might look like a one-year wonder. They had a heavy senior team last year, and with those guys gone, now Colorado's a, borderline 500 team right now, at 5-4. But with the way this team's been recruiting in the 2017 class and this upcoming 2018 class, I think that the future is pretty bright for Colorado. A guy I'm sure you guys are going to ask me about is Phillip Lindsay. He's the running back senior leader for this team. But I'm really interested to see what they do at the running back position. Some of those young guys, how they fill Phillip Lindsay's shoes. And, if someone can step in and really step up at that running back position, I think that this team in 2018 will definitely make a bowl game. And I do think that they're going to compete for the Pac-12 South. But, honestly, that really depends on, how strong USC and UCLA are, with the talent that they bring in every year.
Now, looking at the Buffaloes on the field so far this year, starting at the quarterback spot, what's your evaluation of the play of Steven Montez thus far?
Sure. So last season, he was phenomenal when he filled in for Sefo Liufau. Liufau was a very Tim Tebow-esque runner, so he's getting hurt a good bit. So when Montez would come in, he would play carefree. He would swing the ball around. He was looking very good. And then this season, there's been growing pains. He's a redshirt sophomore in his first full season starting, so he's been inconsistent, but he has all the tools that you look for in a quarterback. He's got the strong arm. He's athletic. I really like how he moves in the pocket, but there's questions about his leadership and just really his inaccuracy in the intermediate pass game. He definitely needs to improve there as well.
Now, it does seem that he has a deep group of wide receivers to work with. What's really stood out about the Colorado passing attack so far this year, and how do you expect them to attack ASU's defense?
Well, the key to the offense for me is obviously, number one, running the ball with Lindsay. But in the pass game, they need to take shots, and Montez has the strong arm. He's got some good weapons on the outside. He's got Bryce Bobo, Number 4, he's a big target. Very good in the red zone as well. I believe he's leading the team in receiving touchdowns. He had 3 against Oregon State a couple weeks ago. And then the other deep threat would be Shea Fields, number 1. They're a real burner. Had a long touchdown last week against Cal. So the passing attack, it's really a lot of quick hitches to the outside and quick slants or deep balls. They'll have some crossing routes that Montez will hit on. But really, I would say that this team, when they're throwing the ball well, it's completing the deep passes that Montez has the arm strength and he has the receivers, to complete the long ball, but it's just his accuracy.
Now, talking about the Buffalo ground game, of course, a name that ASU fans certainly know based on what he was able to do a year ago. Phillip Lindsay had a great year and now has already exceeded his yards total through 9 games in 2017. What makes him so special?
I'll tell you what, I think it's his leadership. And, you watch his press conferences even. I know that's an off-the-field thing, but, he's an inspiring, just an incredible leader. Veteran guy. He's been around for so long now, and his team just feeds off of him. And you watch him run. It's like the man has no stamina. It's like he has unlimited stamina. He just takes hits after hits after hits, and he just continues going. He's a bowling ball when he's running through the tackles, and he's good in his blocking. He's a good pass catcher, I would argue. So, he's definitely a guy I see, playing on Sundays.
Now, you mentioned Lindsay's stamina. He's been worked about as hard as any back in college football the past 2 seasons. Right now is the national leader in carries by more than 30. Between the work that he's gotten and the fact that Colorado doesn't have a bye week until before the final game of the season, any concern about him being worn down?
Right, so he does lead the nation in carries, like you said, but I think that's a little bit skewed just because most teams have had a bye week so far, and Colorado hasn't had one. He's played in all 9 games this season, and when Montez has struggled, they've relied on Lindsay. He's had multiple games, over 35 carries, so he has not had any injuries. Haven't seen him on the injury report, so he's healthy now, and of course, when you have a workload like that, you get worried about an injury. But so far, there's no problems with Lindsay's health.
Now, turning over to the defensive side of the ball, of course, lost a number of key starters from a year ago, as well as the defensive coordinator Jim Leavitt. It seems that overall the defense has taken a step backwards in 2017. So far, where do you feel that they've struggled the most, and where have they made any improvements over the season?
As far as improvements go, I can't say that there are any, just because that group last year was very impressive, and 3 guys in the secondary going on to the NFL. The front 7 lost some really good players, and Kaz Olukbode is a very good linebacker, and as well as Jimmy Gilbert, who's arguably the team's best pass rusher. So the team, overall, you lose your defensive coordinator. Jim Leavitt's obviously at Oregon now, and he did such a great job at Colorado, and you lose that continuity with your defensive coordinator, and then you lose all those senior players. Overall, I can't really point at one position group or one statistic and say this is a big improvement from last season. It's been a struggle for this, for Colorado on the defensive side of the ball this season.
I'm going to put you in the shoes of ASU offensive coordinator Billy Napier. So how are you going to game plan to attack this Buffalo defense?
I've been asked this a couple times this season. When doing interviews, people ask me how to attack the Colorado defense, and my answer is honestly, whatever you're good at, just do it against Colorado, and as long as you execute, you'll be fine. The secondary for Colorado, there's Isaiah Oliver, who's really good, but if you keep away from him, you can have success throwing the ball. Colorado does not get after the quarterbacks very well. Their pass rush is not very good. Run defense hasn't been very good. Drew Lewis is a pretty good inside linebacker that I'm real high on, leads the team in tackles. But still, overall, the run defense isn't that good. I'm not very high on the pass defense, although I do think the secondary is a pretty decent group. But to be honest, as long as you're executing and you're not just dropping passes or fumbling balls, you just execute your offense, you'll have no problem, in my opinion, moving the ball against Colorado's defense. It's just been a struggle across the board for them.
Who are some under-the-radar type players for Colorado that fans should keep an eye out for on Saturday night?
Sure. So there's a true freshman receiver, Laviska Shenault. It's more of how often Colorado gives him a chance to get in the game. When he plays, he's making some big time catches. And last week he had a 58-yard reception to really jumpstart Colorado's offense early in the game, and then he didn't catch a pass the rest of the game. So he's one to keep an eye on. Big time true freshman for Colorado, making big plays down in the passing game. And then I know I just beat up on Colorado's defense a good bit, but they have a safety by the name of Evan Worthington. Will play in a kind of a true free safety type role, but he also comes down and plays near the line as well. He's pretty much all over the field, and a guy I've been pretty high on. But just as a whole, that unit struggled to put things together.
Now, after 9 straight games with no bye weeks, how is Colorado looking on the injury front? Are there any key players that might be out on Saturday or banged up a little bit?
The one I'm really concerned with is the guy I just mentioned with Isaiah Oliver. He's the bust star cornerback who's actually from Arizona. So if he's in there, that'll be great for him to go up against N'Keal Harry. Obviously, one of the best receivers in the Pac-12. So that would be huge if he's able to play. He was banged up in the Washington State game, I believe, and missed last week against Cal. So he should be good to go. I believe he's going to be listed as probable on the injury report this week. But I believe he was listed as probable last week. He didn't get to go. So he should be good to go this week.
Now at 5-4, the Buffaloes finish out the season facing ASU and Tempe, traveling to USC, and then close out. They host USC, and then close out in Salt Lake City against Utah after the bye week. How big of a deal would it be for Colorado to win in Tempe for the first time ever and achieve bowl eligibility?
Yeah, basically the question answers itself. Winning at Tempe for the first time would be huge, and getting to 6 wins would obviously be huge. A lot of Colorado fans are a little bit pessimistic, especially before the Cal game. They thought that, Colorado had no chance to go to a bowl game, a lot of the fans on my board. But now after what the team saw from Cal, there's a little bit more hope. And if Colorado can go ahead and get that 6th win on the road, that would be huge. Colorado doesn't have a road win this season other than beating lowly Oregon State just by 3 points. So to go ahead and get that 6th win and play a little bit more loose against USC and Utah, that should be huge for this team.
Last question we got for you. How when you factor in everything, how do you ultimately see Saturday's game playing out?
If this game were at Folsom Field in Boulder, I would pick the Buffs, but I just don't see them going on the road and beating Arizona State. I think it'll be close, but I have Arizona State winning 28-24.
Well, Mike, greatly appreciate taking the time out and sharing your expertise and insight on Colorado. And encourage all our listeners over the course of this week to head over to cusportsnation.com, get some inside info on the Buffaloes, and also give you a follow on Twitter at @rivals_singer. Mike, thanks again.
Yep, appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.